Welcome. I'm Ed. I'm your host of FreeCircle Fireside, where you will get truth with integrity, insight that's right, and we love people helping people. So let's get into it today. Enjoy the discussion. Let's roll with it. Yeah, it's that time. It's that time where you need to think. Let's talk a little bit about critical thinking. Seems like everybody wants everybody else to do the thinking for them instead of taking it upon themselves to educate themselves so they can think. We need people to start thinking, and they need to think with precision. They need to educate themselves to think, because people just tend not to think anymore. Before you do anything, there has to be a thought process, and that thought process can be just split seconds, microseconds long before people act. A lot of the time we let anger and emotion drive our thoughts. That's not critical thinking. That's destructive thinking. When we let anger and emotions control how we think about the world, you're going to be in an angry place. You're going to be in a very sad place. You won't find your inner peace because you won't think. Clear your mind. Hear what everything is that is going around. All it is a lot of garbage. People aren't thinking. We need to have some critical thinking skills instilled in everybody. It's important. We tend to let popular people sway thought. That's what drives the social order, the social conduct. And a lot of these popular people right now are not very good role models. It's hard to get people to think outside of themselves what they are actually doing. It's hard to dissect ourselves, but that's part of critical thinking. We need to understand us, ourselves. What makes us tick? What sets our triggers off? That's a big one. If you can identify your trigger points, you can control your thought process a lot better. So, a lot of the times, I'm guilty of this myself. We find ourselves making irrational decisions based on emotion. And that can be wrong. And that goes for happy emotions or sad emotions. When we feel joyful, sometimes we tend to act upon that joyful feeling instead of logical and, critical thinking. We need to understand we can't let emotion drive what we do, how we think, how we run our day-to-day activities. And it's hard to get a hold of that process, but once you do, your life incrementally starts getting better because you can isolate and pinpoint the problems within your life. Critical thinking, it's a tool that everyone has to have. And stop going off of emotional thinking. It's hard to decipher the two if you don't realize you're doing the emotional thinking. Let's say we want to help somebody and we feel good about whatever they are doing. So we say, well, we're going to give this individual some money because we're happy and we like what he is doing. If you can't afford to do it, you shouldn't do it just because you are emotionally attached to the individual. And we find this at church a lot of the times, where you can't give, but you're feeling obligated to give because of people saying, oh no, it's in the Bible, you have to give 10%. Wow. People need to study a little more, do some critical thinking for themselves. If you can't afford to give, there's other ways to give, which might actually help increase your worth, your value, your determination. Go out and volunteer. That's giving more than 10%. Don't let irrational thought get inside of your critical thinking. Understand where you want to go, what you want to do with your life, and don't let anybody influence that. Think for yourself. Don't let the money think for you. Don't let friends think for you. Get in the driver's seat, drive your own Ferrari. Yes, Ferrari. You may as well go big if you're going. So, we have to remember that lead sheep, that popular person ringing the bell, is not always the best person to be following. Usually, they're not the best of role models for what you should be trying to obtain in your life. Get with people that talk truth, give you the hard truth. And if you're hanging around people that are just pampering your emotion for you, you're not really growing in life. You're hiding behind something. Something's bugging you. Find yourself. Use critical thinking. Understand what you have to do to get where you want to be. It's hard, especially if you've been kicked down so long. So, it's important to think for yourself. Understand critical thinking is a tool that everyone has to have. And like any tool, you have to learn to use it properly and know what the tool can do in its full potential. Every tool has a specific purpose, and each tool can be used in certain ways. If you try to use a tool in another way, it can kick back and harm you. So This is where critical thinking comes in to play. Understand what you're doing before you get into it. Are you the type that opens the box and just throws the instructions away before you read those? Well, that's a process that maybe you should just scan through the instructions to make sure you definitely know what you're doing. Unless you've done it for years and years, over and over and over, redundant processing. You should familiarize yourself with the process that needs to be taken to fulfill what you are doing, and that's where critical thinking comes. If you just throw the instructions away, you might miss a very critical piece of the puzzle that makes you have to start all over again from scratch because you forgot that one little piece at the beginning. So don't just throw the instructions away. Familiarize yourself with the process. Understand how to think for yourself. Don't listen to others. That is most people's problem right there. They think because others are successful and others are doing what they are going to do, they are going to be able to tell you how to do that. Number one, are they willing to give their secrets out to you in the first place, or are they going to sabotage your success? So for number one, don't rely on others to fulfill your potential. Use your toolbox and extract the information you need and carry on with your goal. Use critical thought process. It's going to help you out a lot. Find it, my friends. You'll love it once you do. Well, that's it for another FreeCircle Fireside. Thank you for joining us. You can find us on the web at freecircle.website. You can join in on the live shows or leave a message and we'll get your voice out over the message. The call-in line is 971-533-7805. Join FreeCircle, get your voice out, and thank you for joining the Fireside. Ed, FreeCircle, out.